I'm Lauren Green, and you're in the strategy room. Days after hurling heavy criticisms at CNBC for their debate, Republican presidential campaigns are reportedly meeting in Washington to discuss overhauling the debate process. But one group not invited to the meeting, the Republican National Committee. Here now with their take, Jeanne Zaino, professor of political science and international studies at Iona College, and Jessica Proud, partner at the November team. Welcome to you both. Okay, Jeanne, let me start with you. What can these GOP candidates actually do? What can their campaigns do?
I think they can do a lot, and I think that they have a right to be frustrated to a certain extent, although stepping back, moderating a debate is not an easy thing to do. Even having done it at a very low level, it is a difficult task. That said, I thought this last debate, unlike the other three, I thought there were a lot of missteps on the part of the moderators. In their defense, there were a lot of moderators and a lot of candidates and a lot of rules. And so for that reason, it makes it hard. I think one of the reasons Anderson Cooper had so much of a better moderated debate with the Democrats is there were fewer candidates on the stage, and he was in control of it because he was moderating it to a certain extent by himself. But I do think the candidates are right, and the parties are, the campaigns rather, are right to get together and say, look, something's got to change, because the number one thing about a debate is it should inform the public. And if that debate was supposed to inform the public about economic issues, it did not achieve that goal, and that's got to be a concern for the candidates and the campaigns. It
did become kind of a free-for-all. And Jessica, like, what can the candidates do about the remaining debates?
Well, it definitely was an unmitigated disaster, and the candidates hold a tremendous amount of power because these networks want the ratings. So, look, the Fox one was the best one out of all three. They should get together, and you have to realize, too, there was a tremendous amount of people frustrated and upset after the debate with Barack Obama and Mitt Romney, where Candy Crowley erroneously came in to the president's defense, and that really shifted the race in a lot of ways. So you have that leftover angst from the last cycle. So Reince Priebus said he was going to fix these problems, and you know what? They need to hold the networks. Maybe they don't have the network sponsoring the debates. Maybe it's a town hall style forum where everyone can cover it. You know, they'll hash that out and figure out what they want to do, but the candidates are right to come together and say, this is not fair, it's not productive to the process, and going forward, it cannot happen again.
But Jeanne, is the RNC at fault here, or is the networks, or who's at fault for this kind of free-for-all that was happening on the stage?
You know, I think it's a combination. It was organized by the RNC and the media outlet, and I think they both have to take responsibility for that. But I do think there are steps they could take. They could cut down on the number of people on the stage, whether you draw straws to see who's on the stage and you split them up into two groups. Simply cannot have a debate with 10 people on a stage that's productive at all. I think they could also do something just like Jessica mentioned. You know, back in the day, the League of Women Voters or another nonpartisan, quote-unquote, group sponsoring the debate. And I think most importantly, the moderators have to take a step back and realize the number one thing is to inform the voters, not to make a name for themselves and not to get involved in the debate. So the moderators have to be very careful. That first question out of the gate at the CNBC debate was not a good question. You have to allow the candidates to speak, and these can't be gotcha debates. And I think left, right, and center people watching that debate, it felt like they were out to get the candidates.
And also the first question really wasn't about economics at all.
No,
it was
not
just
at all.
About kind of personality.
A lot of them weren't. I mean, Ted Cruz had a great line when he said, you know, look, the Democratic debate was who's more handsome than the next person. And they were, you know, and he said this isn't a cage match. And they were really trying to boost the ratings, which were a lot lower than they were for Fox and CNN. But it was a failure, and it was widely recognized as a failure. So I think the network has mud on their face, CNBC, and I think the RNC does a little bit too. And Reince really has to come in and say, you know what, this is never going to happen again. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of angry Republicans. All
right, they got to fix the problem. All right, thank you so much, Jeanne, and Jessica. Thank you much for being here. And you can check out foxnews.com for more on the 2016 presidential race. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching.